Hi, I'm Roy Collin, the host of the podcast. You can find everything about me by scanning the QR code there or going to roycollin.com. And you'll find my six podcasts: the Podfather, helping people become podcasters; the Awakening, exposing fraud and corruption, but with solutions; the Crypto, all things blockchain technology; meditation podcast; speaking podcast; and the Learn Polish podcast. You can also help the show by actually making a donation, visiting the store, or helping my sponsors. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. Welcome to the Crypto Podcast. You can find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. My guest is a creative tech leader, entrepreneur, known for defying convention and turning bold ideas into reality. Spearheading Legion Networks, explosive growth to achieve 1 million real users within 15 days of launching his app and taking his project to 320 million market caps serves as one example. And I think you should replay that just to listen, because there's very few would achieve such. His tech development firm, Blockmob Labs, as being responsible for some of the most robust projects in the space, having completed close to 100 project developments in the last 24 months. He sits as managing partner at Mizan, an emerging systems venture collective, utilizing specialized technology and innovative algorithmic systems to achieve high-yielding results. Through his ventures and insights, he aims to help underdogs and dreamers unlock their potential, proving that even the smallest players can thrive in a competitive landscape for the few. Get ready for the practical strategies and bold inspiration to help you grow, thrive, and make a lasting impact. From the UK, please welcome Cameron Mordi-Semple. I didn't actually ask you about how pronouncing your surname. I mean, I know Cameron, so I apologize.
Happily on the dot is thank you so much for having me firstly, and thank you for the intro. It's really appreciated.
I mean, it's very impressive. So I suppose let's kind of get learn a little bit more about you. As far as I know, you started like 17, so it's very young to be starting. So
Yes.
kind of let's I suppose not even at 17, but was the young Cameron always kind of entrepreneurial and kind of doing bits and pieces?
100%. So I noticed in hindsight, my experience through school was very, I'd say, unconventional. I was someone who, I studied for my A levels, IT, art, and drama. So a very interesting mix. And essentially from my time in IT, it was a BTech course. There weren't serving A-level IT in my school, so I was mixed with some people that didn't even want to do IT. They just got thrown in there because it was what was available. And I'd barter with my teachers to essentially get 2 weeks worth of work up front, and I'd do the work in maybe 2, 3 days, hand it back to them, and say, "Well, I've done 2 weeks of work. Can I basically work outside of the class now?" Because there was a small sliver of a room between the IT class and the computing lessons. And they're like, you know what? We can't fault it. Do your thing. And in between that time, I was working on what would become my digital design agency when I got into freelance graphic design. So I'd always found ways I consider myself at the time quite lazy, but I feel like the laziest people are some of the most creative. You're going to get things done in the most unconventional ways. And that was my entire school journey, I think, as a whole, which is really built into who I am today. And, I completely, just pat my odds up on the back just for having that drive to want to explore more. Because I was, I was the perfect C grade student. I did enough to not get in trouble, but almost gave myself enough time so I wasn't stressing over school and could do other things. And I loved it that way. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Very good. And before we delve into the different companies and everything, because I was looking as well, you're after getting awards. There was a few that you were finalists and different things, but on enterprising young person of the year. So there's a few different. I mean, which they don't give them out to anybody as well, because obviously at the start when I was introducing, like what you achieved in a few days, it was like, so you're actually not just doing that and that was it, and you got complacent. You're doing a lot. So you might just tell people about the different awards and the
Yeah.
ones you got finalists for as well.
No, absolutely. So from the top of my mind, I mean, referring to the Enterprise and Non-Person Award, that was from Lambeth, which Lambeth Council, which is the borough in which I guess live in. And that was an honor, honestly. There was, some great names as part of the category. And they essentially highlight people doing considerable things within the community and, want to put them at the forefront. So it was, quite the honor to, get that call to be a finalist for that. Sadly didn't win, but it was an amazing evening. And it was an amazing showcase of talent, expertise, and people that are giving back to the community, which is always an amazing thing. And I think it's needed more across London and just worldwide. And a few of the other ones include, I think my memory, um the, the UK Black Business Awards. That was for I believe it was in the tech space. It was a tech award specifically, and I was a finalist for that, which was great. Um, Again, another honor, something which, I don't take lightly. Tech wasn't where I began my journey, and I'm not a technical person by trade. However, I found a love for this space, and to be recognized for something like that was, formidable and, something which I really appreciated. And the last one that comes to mind off the top of my head was, think it was the Young Entrepreneur or Rising Star Award. And that was, I think put probably one of the biggest smiles on my face. That was from a previous community, which I was a part of. I was actually the youngest in that community, having joined at, I believe, 18, with an array of startup SME founders, pushing the envelope forward. And yeah, to be recognized as a rising star, I guess what, 6 years later, was yeah, just nothing shy of incredible to be around that room. It was set in the top part of the Gherkin in the centre of London, and it's just an amazing evening. So yeah, it's the awards are great, but it's something which I'm also just focused on the craft. But I think to be recognised for these things as I push forward is a true honour.
I suppose the other thing is whether you're winning something or you're a finalist, you're getting in the room and you're actually talking with other entrepreneurs at a high level. Plus, there's investors there as well. So you actually, the networking side of it is worth it in itself. So just that they nominated you is a fantastic achievement.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, oh, perfect. So Legion Network, we'll talk about that. Like I'm saying, 4.5 million app downloads. I mean, that's on the information I've got. I mean, maybe these things are just, but just during this conversation, probably another million. But just 14 million global app registrations, and there's something like 140k LGX token holders. So I suppose just kind of tell me everything about the business. I know it's the best.
So, Legion Network was born out of a frustration that myself and my co-founders had essentially in the crypto space. It could be, especially at that time, this was around 2021. So the tools available to us as traders, enthusiasts, etc., were either convoluted, hard to find, or non-existent. And you'd find as a crypto enthusiast, you'd maybe do your research and have maybe a trillion tabs open at one time, and you'd have to dart through each one, whether that's to, swap tokens on exchanges, whether that's to connect various wallets, whether it's to engage with different applications or services that the blockchain space had to offer. And it could be quite a lot and quite overwhelming, especially if you're starting in the space. So we decided, why don't we put together a super app or an app which serves as the all-in-one place, the one-stop shop for crypto enthusiasts and beginners? And that would include things such as gaming or GameFi at the time, or even, play to earn, which has now become play and earn, or even say education, or, like people being able to, the whole watch to earn aspect at the time was the craze. So people being able to earn CPD accredited certification for learning about Bitcoin, learning about blockchain, Web3, and all these various different um, things within, the crypto space. Even raffles, engaging in raffles, by way of crypto, things of this nature. How could we put this all in one so it's easy for the average user and useful enough for the experts? So we put our head together, really wanted to see how we could flush this out. We aggregated our funds collectively, and it took around 7 months to produce the platform, or at least the early stage of the platform. And of course, one challenge that came with that was finding experienced professional Web3 developers. There's a lot of cowboys in the space, people that either, just take you for a ride, don't deliver on the work, overcharge, underdeliver. So it was very challenging to sort of thick through who would eventually become part of our internal team. And after 7 months of development and raising capital, we started that from September 2021, having gone through a series of no's from launch pads, institutional VCs, angel investors, etc., until finally getting that yes. That was a 9 month raising period, and we didn't raise any money until our 8th month. So it took a certain, mindset and tenacity to be able to sort of push forward through all those no's. 7 months of just find someone else. This is great, but we need a lead investor. This is great, but yeah, now's not the right time. There's just 7 months of that, and eventually, we got our first pool of investment. Um, we were able to raise 4.5 million, which was an incredible feat for us. And yeah, we launched January of 2022, having, I guess, wanted to achieve around 100,000 users within 3 months, wanted gradual growth because we understood that, you know, uh, we didn't really consider explosive growth. It wasn't common in the space at the time at all, if ever really. And you don't hear about it much. A lot of people say, look, well, if you underserve on what your goals are, it's normal, it's fine, just have these parameters in place. So we were like, yeah, we'll go for the big 1 million in a year's time. So having had all that preparation there and a team of maybe 12 people from developers, designers, us as co-founders, marketing teams, etc. We put the app out there. Marketing was doing its thing. And in no time, 15 days had passed. We had hit the 1 million download mark, which was surreal because I don't think any of us could have anticipated that level of growth and what it took to manage that level of growth. We, in turn, I mean, we're getting on calls with a series of crypto enthusiasts that wanted, to be involved in our project in one way, shape, or form. And, I'd get on Telegram calls personally to address questions. And, we'd be speaking to excess of maybe 40,000 people live just to address questions, which, was insane. Our server costs, which we thought would be maybe on the low 4-figure mark, ended up for that month skyrocketing to around $70,000 dollars per month to just house that number of people to use our platform. So we didn't anticipate any of these things at all. So there was a lot of quick thinking and pivoting to be able to match that level of growth. And that 1 million quickly became 4.5 million, which quickly became a global count of 40 million app downloads worldwide. And it was just an insane experience. I think we were at a point, we were hiring every other day for 2 months straight. So we went from a team of like 12 to by its peak, 62 people, which I'd never recommend. That was a headache. But it was an incredible time. It's so many lessons learned. And yeah, that's essentially what became Legion Network.
Right. And you just kind of brushed it off easily, got the marketing done their thing. What was done differently that managed to get explosive growth? Because I know that is not normal. And there's a lot of people aspire to get that. And I think sometimes it's just the energy of the team as well, and just the well intentions that people don't take into account. And I think sometimes that in itself helps grow things, and just people getting to know. I mean, like, this is our first time meeting each other, but I know straight away I could connect with you, just your energy and stuff like that. So I presume, surrounding yourself with people like that. So was it a combination of that? What else were you doing that actually made that happen so fast?
Yeah, so I learned very quickly that the term all bad press is good press. I mean, I feel like with this year, you may think otherwise, but because I did learn that because we had a marketing campaign which is quite strategic. We were offering $5 worth of, this point or token for every verified user that comes through the platform. And of course, there are various things that will constitute to a verified user on the platform. But there was a small group of people, of course, that thought they could bypass our system and kind of just hack the application. It was never going to happen. We had a very robust CISO team and security team that have done things for, the British government and all sorts. So it was never going to happen. But they were really convinced that this was the case. And so much so that they'd make YouTube videos about it. And those YouTube videos quickly picked up, 20,000 views, 40,000 views, 50,000 views. And we really wanted to like take them down. And we're like, yo, this is insane. We can't keep this up. There's obviously they can't get through, but we don't want to be dealing with, esteemed hackers trying to get into our platform. Well, we're just like, we'll deal with this in the morning. So we went to bed, woke up, team meeting, look at the videos again. That 40,000 new videos now got 120,000 views. Now got 200,000 views, 400,000 views. And we're like, let's leave it. We're just like, let's just leave it, because what we found was there was a lot of viewers of those videos. These were from maybe people from Russia, from Turkey, Indonesia, etc. All countries I'm not had the privilege to, uh, visit, but there, these were garnering like real curiosity from actual people that were like, why do these guys want to get into this app so much? Why? What is it about this app? Who are these guys? What is Legion Network? And we were building somewhat of a larger following from what would be perceived as negative press, but because we let it run its course, so many people were just piling in, and it I think that really did help along with the timing of the market. I think if we were any later, it was just at the tip of the bear market. So the bear market was about to start around that time. And yeah, I think it was everything just aligned. In this space there is an element of just, right timing, and we can never predict that. But I think all of those things really came together. I mean, the strength of the product definitely helped. Uh, the the positioning of the marketing and the quality of it. I'm a designer by trade, so a lot of those early stage designs, I really wanted to ensure that my finger was on the pulse of it, and I set the tone for what would be for the next, 3 years plus. And it it just took off. And I think all of those things really were contributing factors to our early success.
Brilliant. Yeah, love it. So, because I was looking at the things that has the NFTs as well. Yeah, you can use NFTs in that, or is that the other
Yeah,
one?
so we have a non-custodial wallet within the platform. So when a user signs up, they get given pretty much an automatic non-custodial wallet, which they can, of course, utilize outside of the platform on any, on-chain web app or mobile app. And effectively, that that non-custodial wallet gives them access to over 15,000 digital assets across 40 different blockchains. Um, and yeah, they can house their NFTs there should they wish to. They can, of course, house their crypto there. They can spot their crypto from in that wallet. They can bridge their crypto through their mobile app, which was again another pain point for us, because anytime we'd want to bridge tokens, at that time you'd have to do it on a decentralized exchange, and you need a laptop for that. So if I'm out and about and I need to do something quickly, it is non-existent. I'd have to wait till I get home. But these were solutions which we wanted to put at the forefront through this application, and yeah, I'm glad that we were able to achieve that.
And because I saw swapping NFTs, and I just assumed, okay, I've got this, you've got that, and we both agree, hey, I want what you've got, and I kind of get that. But renting NFTs, I've never heard of that. And why would someone rent? Is it that I get a Bored Ape and just show it for 30 seconds and go, hey, I've got a Bored Ape? What's the...
You'd be surprised. So that would have been through, we had, well, in its early stages, we had a segment of Legion Network called Blue Moon, which was the metaverse play, and NFT marketplace within the business. But that was such a Goliath of a project that we decided we'd keep that as its own sister company. So Blue Moon kind of detached from Legion Network and became its own thing. And that's where you would have seen everything with the renting NFTs. And some of the use cases for renting NFTs were exactly what you mentioned. I was doing, I don't know if I could call it a tour, but I was traversing through the US, and a lot of people, a lot of events required certain NFTs, and it wouldn't be justified to pay at the time, let's say, excess of $150,000 for a Bored Ape just to get through these various events. Like, I'd much rather just rent it off someone, have a safe procedure by way of an escrow system on the platform, and, have a set time limit on how long the NFT is in my wallet, for example. And these are the things which, we wanted to bring to market through Blue Moon. And that was one of the use cases. Outside of that, I think just being able to run NFTs for the sake of perks, or, let's say, for example, yielding, say, set perks. I know with holding Bored Apes, there were various different additional NFTs you could get off the back of holding like a mutant ape or combining NFTs or things of this nature. So I think, or even just for the sake of events, if I'm doing a virtual event and I wanted to maybe showcase NFTs in a set portfolio or of the clients that we have, being able to do so in a more professional manner would be more appealing to the user rather than let me just send you my NFT and trust that you're going to give it back to me. The space is insane. So I think that's one of the sort of aspects which we wanted to deliver through Blue Moon's marketplace.
And with the Blue Moon, because I was actually looking at doing a project with artists and photography and stuff like that. And I was trying to decide which is the best one. And I saw OpenSea was, they didn't care about you. And it was like, there was so much bots. And then there was others and I was just reading stuff. And then I'd have someone that I go, okay, I make a decision. I go, I wait a while and look. And then I go in and it's gone. And it's like, it's still fairly. So with Bloom, like, are you concentrating on a certain sector, or is it just open to all NFTs, or what way is the strategy?
So Blue Moon actually never had the launch it deserved. So we're a very meticulous team when it comes to putting projects out. So Blue Moon's development took, I'd say, over a couple of years. And then we delayed for a further year because we wanted to be extra sure about security. And of course, we were seeing security breaches from other NFT marketplaces, which, were cause of concern, especially when it comes to high volume and things of this nature, and the other various different, I guess, services that we offered in ours would become, a formidable target potentially. So we put out the waitlist. The waitlist garnered around 140,000, I guess, people on the wait list, and we kind of gamified it in a way where people could still gain points and work their way up the wait list, and that was happening in the background whilst we were busy getting everything prepared. But in the meantime, we ran, I'd say, top of my memory, 5 large events in the metaverse, partnering with various different companies. We did one with the Hilton. They pretty much had their expo within the metaverse through us, and we were trialing the product and seeing how things worked. We had our Blue Moon pitch deck as a metaverse, and we'd send that to investors to actually go in the metaverse and get a feel for what our project's actually about, whilst being in our project, which served pretty well. And these, I think just due to the market sentiment, metaverse sort of died down. So we essentially just put our efforts elsewhere. But who knows, all the technology's there, everything's ready. So should the metaverse make a return, we'll be at the forefront of that ride for sure.
No, because I think, yeah, it didn't take off as they were expecting.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the Blockmob Labs, then there's like smart contracts and wallets and things like this. Let's kind of touch on. I suppose let's kind of just explain the company and all that, because I've got them listed down, the different things, but you might just kind of go through it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Blockmob Labs is a tech development firm. We have, I think now, close to 52 in-house developers. These are developers that are experts in multiple coding languages, such as, we have full stack developers, people that are familiar with Solidity, Rust, Node, Next, React, HTML, CSS, etc. And essentially, we've done close to, I'd say, by the time the year closes out, I think we would have surpassed 100 projects total in the past 24 months. And these are 75% of them have been native to Web3. That tends to be our bread and butter. We can pretty much do anything A to Z within the Web3 space. And we can comfortably say that just due to experience and the projects that we've worked with. And 25% of them have been native to Web2. So examples of this would be your websites, your non-Web3 apps, web apps, admin panels. Yeah, you name it, pretty much, we can get it done. On the Web3 side, we've had a surplus of interest with Telegram mini apps. We've got, of course, the A.
So I've heard that Telegram mini app. So yeah, I'm in apps, and there's just like, I'm in Telegram, and there's people, they're either where everybody's engaging, or there's somebody but what's a mini app inside in Telegram?
Yeah, so think of it like this. So do you have an iPhone or you Android?
iPhone.
Okay, all right. So you'd be familiar with 8 Ball Pool as like one of the main games that you could play in like your text messages, for example. Like you could just invite someone to play a game, right? So that would be an example of, I guess, a mini app to like Apple's messaging service. But the same thing is to be said for Telegram. And Telegram has an app store that not many people know about. If you want to check it out, it's TAPPS_bot. And when you press start, then launch, it will open up Telegram's mini apps. And it'll literally look like the Apple App Store, and it'll have all these apps that quite literally stay on Telegram. So these mini apps came about, or the hype for them came about by way of gaming. I mean, I'm someone who definitely, I mean, I'm almost certain that in any industry, I won't name the other thing that's probably a massive adopter, but gaming, I think, is a huge adopter for any industry. And that's what we've seen with the Telegram mini app space. People are creating these hyper casual games, hyper addictive games where users can, it started out in the tap to earn space. So people were just tapping away on, like, say, a hamster combat was one of the main ones. And they're tapping away at this hamster, they're earning points. They have to obviously wait a bit for the bar to refresh, and essentially there'd be a surprise date for an airdrop, and your points will convert into a token, which you can of course exchange for USDT and send to your bank and earn from. And of course, this was huge because in Asia, various, West Africa, for example, a little goes a long way. And being able to make money from just playing games is a no-brainer. So a lot of traction was coming in through that side. Hamster Combat at its peak, I think, had around 150 million monthly active users, which is insane. Never before heard of. The game isn't great, so it's something which just took off completely. But what we're seeing now is Telegram mini apps are becoming a little more sophisticated. They aren't just tap to earn games, they're actual, puzzle games, they're social media platforms, they're trading platforms, so a lot of people are bringing their traditional apps and ideas into this space with the hopes that they can use gaming as a marketing tool to gain that initial traction and offset that traction into various things outside of Telegram. And I'll give you a quick example. Quests is a pretty much a given for any Telegram mini app. And what quests are is a subsection of the mini app. And it would say things like, you can earn, let's say, I don't know, you've got the crypto podcast, right? So let's say TCP. You can earn 100 TCP points if you follow us on Instagram, for example. And if you've got 100,000 monthly active users and 10% convert, you've got 10,000 people, let's say within a week time frame, that have completed that quest. And your Instagram, if you start from zero, would be at 10,000 followers, which is a great metric. And a lot of people are essentially farming their users and leveraging that audience and attention to these other platforms where they can earn further. So it's being used as a really formidable marketing tool. I do think it's early days. We've built maybe close to 20 at the moment in the past 2 months, 3 months. And yeah, it's been a great time, just seeing what the market's offering in this space. But I do think it's really early, and I'm super excited to see what sort of comes in the space for 2025.
Yeah, sounds very interesting. And with the smart contracts, then what exactly are you covering with the smart contracts?
Yeah, with the smart contracts, anything, honestly, whether it's NFT projects, whether it's for launch pads, whether it's, for crypto token launches, the full 9 yards, everything and anything.
And with, I suppose it was just last week, or was it just, with the hot tool, in another pump and dump kind of thing. And it's sad to see because, some people are getting excited, and they would have been following her thinking, okay, I mean, it was strange how she became famous anyway, but what she did, but irrelevant of that, she kind of jumped on the bag. She had a podcast, she was going on a lot of shows, but then she done this. So people were kind of liking her as a person, and maybe some people were coming in for the first time and just felt, oh, we're early days here. And it's sad to see when, because like that's our, they make it look like, oh, we never planned this. This is, but you
Yeah.
just by listening, I know, was it 15% fees that they were charging, and what they released to the market. So when you see that, because that's hurting you as such with all the different things you're doing, because when a person gets burnt, they think, I hate blockchain or I hate crypto. It's just that the worst, it's like in real estate or whatever. Like if you get caught by a guy who pretended he was selling your property and it never existed or whatever, it's the same thing. You get kind of
100%.
detest. So, and that has got a lot of kind of momentum, because unfortunately things like that, negativity spreads a million times, just like your promotion. You jump on the bandwagon with the negativity. But for that, like, what's your kind of thoughts on that? And I mean, she's not the first to do that. Like, there's a load.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a shame. I think pump and dumps hurt the space. I think bad artists, within this space are what's hurting our chances of mass adoption. I do think I mean, I spoke to a gentleman yesterday at an event who, there's people creating sophisticated tools to sort of weed out these players in the space, essentially stress testing a token based on, say set tokenomics. Of course, a lot of these meme coins have zero tokenomics. That's almost the nature of them. But I do think it is hurting the mass adoption space. I do think, you know, I mean, it is effectively just gambling. So I feel like there's a certain mindset that needs to be had with said investor getting to, up for a token, for example, almost knowing that whether you're putting in, you're going to lose. Whenever I engage in a meme coin, I dabble myself, but I actively know I'm happy to lose this money. Like, if it goes, it's whatever I expected it, no problem. Which is why I think, necessary precautions and adequate education is needed. But one of my favorite mantras is, I say this to like my brother all the time, but those that don't hear fail. And I think that some people they won't hear their advice, so they just have to learn their painful lesson, and they'll learn that way, which is it's fine. We've all been there.
Can you ever see like something that I would love to see? Because sometimes, whether it's they're creating a coin or whatever, sometimes you can see them on LinkedIn and all the different things, and you see full traceability, and that kind of gives you a bit of kind of hope. And this guy is transparent, not always, but sometimes it's like that. Can you ever see it where there'll be like on the blockchain, there's a traceability of the people? And it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time. It was mainly from construction, because there are so many cowboys in construction. And I was like, if it's traceable, your man can come along and tell everybody how good he is. But if you were able to go in and based on a proper ID, not just that he can become company B in the morning, the individual, and you can go in. Can you ever see that happening? Because I think that's how we'll actually get rid of all these cowboys from every space.
I think it's plausible. The chances of them actually doing it is probably slim. But I think if that were the case, a lot of people would most likely create new wallets, probably start from scratch, or have an identity where this wallet's for legit activity, this wallet's for tomfoolery, and probably just keep the two separate. I think it's hard to base the success of a token even based on, say, someone's social media, I guess, visibility. So these tokens that have a bit of a Twitter presence or have somewhat of like a Telegram community, I think those are okay starters. But I think ultimately, I mean, it's the meme coin space, the real sort of trust in a project is backing, which is why, projects that get institutional VC backing um are tend to do, they raise more, they, go through those sort of like processes, because there would have had to been a surplus of due diligence before they can even receive that funding. Whereas with meme coins, it's, anyone get in, anyone get out, the initial liquidity here today, gone tomorrow. It's literally just a circus effectively. So um, I think if everyone's comfortable with the space being just that, and everyone knows that that's just the nature of the space, which I think crypto native people do understand, but it's the people coming into the space that think, you know what, this is my get rich quick opportunity. I'll be a millionaire tonight. This is what I'm doing. Let me put my mortgage into meme coins. Yeah, just highly unrecommended. It's just something which I think the educational piece just is needed. Almost maybe like the warnings are there, but yeah, I think yeah, I do think it'd be good to see if assuming everyone adheres to that sort of premise, it would be good. But I think it might be a slim a slim chance that would be happening.
And with the wallets, then is it that you're creating a wallet that with that?
Yeah, so as in, do we create wallets? Is that the question? Yeah, so we do pretty much everything A to Z in the crypto space. So if someone wanted a specific function to a wallet, we can get that done. They just need to make it known what functions they want for their wallet, if they want bridging features, if they want claimable NFTs that appear in the wallet after, let's say if you're an events company, for example, and you want NFTs by way of access to an event, or let's say someone's attended an event and you want to gift them NFTs, we can have functions in place to where said NFT it like appears in those particular users' wallets. If you want swapping features, if you want your wallet to be multi-chain, we can do pretty much yeah, anything that's required for, the individual projects needs.
And with the phrases, then, it's 12, 24 words, because I mentioned it with somebody else recently, and apparently it has been hacked that somebody from a company has actually got in. So is there ways that it's really encrypted, not like WhatsApp light encrypted, but a real encrypted, or is there any like way that you're making your own? Because it's all right if you're just playing around and then you take it off. But if you're leaving it and somebody just they've realized that you're worth X, with a few zeros behind it,
Yeah.
that's somebody in there. Because as you know, yeah, you've 62 people on one place, and trust me, like I've had people that worked 8 years and they ripped me off. So when it comes to money, sometimes people, and I've heard of a lot of people like that. So
100%.
is there ways that to protect the user that they're not able to see that? And can you see it where they're making their own seed phrase, so that way, like the company then doesn't even have access to it? Because if I create my own, I know exactly whatever way I do it.
Yeah, so we, as a business, I mean, when it comes to non-custodial wallets, we don't actually, well, for our company at least, we don't actually have access to the user's wallets. We don't know what the wallet addresses are. We don't know which account it's attached to. And we also don't know, obviously, of course, what tokens it holds or how much. Same is to be said about the seed phrases. These are randomly generated external to us. And, that's the joy of blockchain. I think we're able to have those functions where people can still engage with us, but they can have that comfortability of knowing their keys are theirs. This is separate to us. They could take their wallet from our platform, use it on, 100 other platforms and never come back to us. And it'd still be completely valid. Even if our company, let's say, was completely inactive and we shut things down, it's still its own, I guess, entity in its own right. So I think that's the beauty of the space, and yeah, we have no hands in that part at all.
Okay. And the next one then is Mizan, I believe, is it? Yeah, imagine perhaps
Mizan.
Mizan, sorry. So what exactly are you doing in there?
Yeah, so Mizan's really exciting. It's probably what the majority of my focus is being put to at the moment. So essentially, we're a collective venture pool with the hopes of being a fund down the line. And essentially, what we have is a algorithmic tool within the microcap stock space. So these are stocks that are, at best around the $10 million mark cap, and then can of course be like significantly lower. But we we essentially have this system which gathers 9,000 data points from the market, and those data points will be pushed through a system that we have. So this system, we call it this like green light system, and it has 16 indicators or qualifiers which the stock has to pass. And if it passes all 16, then it will give us, I guess, the green light to execute on that trade. So what we what we effectively do with that is trade the stock. We'd maybe do, I don't know, 20 trades. I mean, it can vary in the week. Let's say like 20 trades. Our worst performance for any given trade is winning by 75%. So it's can be quite successful. On the high end, we're winning at a 90% rate. And yeah, our main focus is that we can trade, I believe, 20% of the Nasdaq. These are all, of course, qualifying trades, of course, and stocks. And where it differs in, I guess the meme coin space and why I could sort of like double on both sides. This is, of course, a completely Web2 play. But what my plan is with Mizan, before I get into where it differs in the meme coin space, is I don't just want to have one singular system. Of course, this is for microcap stocks, but I do want systems within, utility tokens, maybe one for meme coins, maybe one for real estate, dealing with like the rent to rent market, and sort of opening those up as individual funds in the future for, investors, accredited investors to come in and enjoy a slice of the pie. And that's the main mission for Mizan. And I hope to do so in the most ethical of ways. I yeah, just based on my own personal beliefs and things like that, I strive to ensure that everything's done ethically, and that, everyone wins in the process. So that's the goal.
Thanks. Love it. Love it. Oh, just finally, I mean, they're not small little projects that you're involved in. They're three massive, and I presume there's probably a few other arms and legs kind of. How do you manage your day? Because sometimes people, they kind of struggle with things like that. How do you structure yourself?
Yeah, so I would say I would call it organized chaos on some days. Things just fly in and out, impromptu, which I love. I've got a neurodivergent brain, so I thrive in this, everything at once sort of happening. Well, so I told myself. But I manage my time through what I call a traffic light system. And I have a simple Google Sheets document, and I have 6 emojis that I input. I have a red circle, which means I've not done the work at all. I haven't looked at it. I have the yellow, which is underway. Then I have the green that is completed. I also have so it's the red circle, but it's hollow so it's like a red ring, and that for me stands for I've looked into it, but I've not started yet. I have a black circle, which means the task is no longer relevant. And then I have it's almost like a green X. I mean, I believe I'm Android, so it's a green X, but essentially serves as this task was delayed for external factors. Like it was done or could have been done, but it's delayed for external factors. And I freeze that at the top of my Google Sheets, and then I map out columns in weeks. So I'd have, let's say it's the 10th. So I'd have the 10th to the 17th. And then I just have everything I've done for each company as a sub tab for each week. Like, okay, cool. The crypto podcast in red. After this, it'll be in green. Need to do this, need to do this, need to do this, need to do this. And I could just see everything like in front of me. And it's just so much easier for me that it's just simple. I can see everything. You could do the same with a calendar. I find it way too convoluted. I don't check it as much as I should. I just wait for the notification to pop up and yep, I'm there. But that served me so well. I've taken that system to many organizations I've advised for, and they love it, and it just works for everyone. So for me, and the way my brain works, and just how busy things can get, simple, easy. Forget all the productivity tools. I need to have a reminder to check those. This is just the most simplest way for me, and I think that's how I get by day to day.
That's fascinating. And to be honest, I've tried a lot of these other tools as well, and I find Excel is the best thing for me. Because the thing is, no matter where you log in, you go into your Google account, even if it's on the phone, and you've access to it.
Exactly.
Whereas other systems, they're kind of specific to, you put it on your one computer and then it's like, oh, our emails aren't coming and everything. So yeah, interesting. And yeah,
It's so true, and it's so easy to also, when we prepare for, like, whether say you're someone that prepares for the new year a month in advance, quarter in advance, whatever everyone's process is, it's so nice to see week on week what you did through the year. Like, okay, March was my most productive time. Wow. Or like, what was a significant thing that happened in this day? And I add notes to each of those tasks. So, what was achieved from doing this task? What was missed out because I didn't do this task? And I just go back and analyze where I spent my time and what worked. And then I'd highlight it and it just be like, okay, more of that. I need to be doing more of this because this clearly works. This doesn't. And it just makes life so much easier. And if you now want to offset that to an assistant, they can help and that can be their role. If you now want to take what's worked for you and whack that into an AI and get like now a comprehensive, say, list of what you should be spending your time on, focusing on, to want to create an AI agent to, do X, Y, Z, for these various things. It's just helped me out massively. So I'm super excited for, to just review what I've done for this year and what's worked. And then of course, just step into 2025, with super clarity on where I need to be and where I don't.
Amazing how success leaves clues, isn't it? It's yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Listen, Cameron, thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. You might let people know where they can find you.
Yes, and likewise. So you can find me on LinkedIn, I'd say is probably the best place where I'm most active. So that's Cameron Mordi-Semple. So Mordi-Semple. Currently privatized on Instagram, but I probably will open it up. So that you can find me there. It's a CMS Nova. That's the CMS Nova. And yeah, I'd say those are the main sort of like places you can find me. And of course, don't be a stranger. Please reach out. I will respond at some point. I can be assured that. But yeah, I'd love to address any questions people have. And if you want to engage with building a crypto project, or you have one in the process that needs development work, I'd love to get you in touch with the best, with my team. And yeah, we can see how we can help you bring your dreams to reality.
Make sure I put the links both on the audio and the video. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's all for the Crypto Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends, and comment on what we discuss. We'd love to read your comments. Until next week, take care. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. As mentioned at the start, you can find my 6 podcasts on roycollin.com or scan the QR code if you're looking to start a podcast or do a podcasting tour, help with that. Also, if you're looking for a virtual assistant, we also have that service. And you can help the show by visiting the store, supporting our sponsors, or making a donation. Until next week, take care.